So I'm talking about Dick for a little bit, and I want to, there's just so many things to learn. There's so many, but Dick Vitale is also a healer, just like you are. He was born for this. And this is another one of his, what he said, I'd like to be remembered, not just as a basketball personality, but as someone who wanted to help kids battling cancer. So the memory of those who've been lost along the way is never forgotten. Now you guys may hear that and you may think that's a line. Let me tell you, it is not. The guy lives and breathes every day raising money to give to research for the cure of pediatric cancer. I mean, it is his heartbeat. And he spends time with kids every day. He'll be on the phone. He'll go to the hospital. His heart bleeds. He lives to be a healer. He wants them to be healed. Now, every year, and by the way, it is his mission, it is his purpose, you understand? That's his purpose. And his purpose caused him, created him to be drawn to do things that he wouldn't have normally done had it not been his purpose. If his purpose was not healing, there's a lot of this. And it is his purpose as a healer that brought him to be a giver. He is a tremendous giver. And as an example, when he has raised an unbelievable amount of money now. In 2005, he started a gala in his home where he would bring coaches, basketball players, and stuff like that, athletes and all that. He'd bring them all together to raise money for pediatric cancer. And he would have it in his backyard, and it was for a weekend, usually about the first weekend in May. And we were at the very first one. We were his neighbor, and we were right there with him, and it was pretty amazing. He grew so much, the whole thing it grew so much that pretty soon it became too big for his backyard. So he moved it to the Ritz there in Sarasota. So we've been going ever since to every one of them. We'll be going here in just a week or two, as a matter of fact. He's got another one coming up. And he'll have these stars, and the whole place is pretty fascinating because sports celebrities come from everywhere for the weekend and raise money. And he will raise millions of dollars in that one night. He kind of does it over 2 nights, but there's one main night that's the gala. And he gives everything he has toward making this happen. And it is a major event. And so when we go this next time, and I talked to, as a matter of fact, I was talking to Lorraine just night before last, and told her that I was talking to her about something else for one of our clients, and then I said, we're looking forward to seeing you. And they just kind of live for it. So the principle is that he's dedicated himself to giving, and he's giving toward healing. Now, I say that to say one of his big keys is love, and the second big key is he's a giver. I hope that you've been able to see that one of the things that we really push you to be is loving what you do and giving. Be a giver. And you might take for granted, because that's all you've seen here, but you might take for granted that that's the popular thing and everybody's for that and all that. No way, man. Not even close. And I'll give you a story or two, as we do this thing to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. But he dedicates himself to this, and it is a characteristic. So even though you would know that it's a biblical principle that assures us that if we give, it'll come back to us, pressed down, shaken together, running over. Now we know that, but in all reality, we don't. You see, giving really works. So we have something in integrity called the give back movement. Now, many of you who probably work in the office now, you've never known anything but to have the give back movement in the office. But the truth of the matter is, it didn't start that way. And I happen to remember very clearly making it something where we need to give our first day services to whatever you consider to be a great cause. And so you choose your cause, and it can be more than one. You can choose one time, one time, 1 month, and all that kind of thing. Make it any way you want to, but we're going to give the first that we get, and we're going to give it, and it'll come back. And it created, some of you, because I was asking about hands, it created a lot of fear. How are we going to make it if we do that? Well, see, my feeling was the opposite. How are we going to make it if we don't do that? Because giving is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to love and we're supposed to give. Has everybody got it so far? And so we kind of hung with it. Now, you would think that would be a really popular thing. Let me tell you something weird about the whole thing, and I won't spend a lot of time on that, but it still did happen. So I did this about the first day's fees and stuff. Well, our doctors took to it, but it just scared them. But you'd be surprised, but I had all kinds of chiropractic officials and society leaders and the presidents of this and the heads of that and all that kind of stuff contacted me to tell me, boy, how this is the wrong thing to do. You shouldn't do it. We're against it, and you're breaking laws and blah, 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 blah. Well, naturally, I had attorneys, check it out. I want to make sure that we were doing it. It was all right. And it was all right there to make it up because they didn't want me to do it. Now, doesn't it seem funny to you that these people would be against us giving? Integrity Doctors gives literally millions of dollars every year to great causes. Isn't that something? Oh. Millions of dollars. We give it. And now we do it a little bit more naturally. But there was a time and I would have to go to them and I would say this stuff and say, I beg your pardon, but we can do this. Well, no, because you can't do a discounted first day's fee, blah, 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 blah. I said, okay, we won't do a discounted first day's fee. We'll make that our fee. When I'm on a mission, I'm on a mission. And you better get out of the stinking way or get run over. So here's the deal. We're going to give. If you're for it, thank you. If you're not, tough. Giving is a part of winning. All in favor say aye. So I said, all right, we'll just make it what our first day's fee is. Then it's not discounted at all. It just is what it is, what it is. There's no law that says it has to be a certain amount. It just says that we can't discount that amount. All right, fine. That's the amount. And we plunged into it, buddy. And we've been doing it now for years. And it's a pretty fun thing, isn't it? And you know what I love seeing? And boy, I know sitting at some tables here that, Zach, you're really a good one on this, and I love the pictures. But I love the pictures where you get a big check made, and you're giving it to an organization and it calls off. It's thrilling, isn't it? Because we're making a difference. We're healers and stuff, and we're here to give. We've been put on this planet to give, not to take. Anybody can take, but not everybody chooses to give. And people who take think if they don't take, then they won't make. And I say, no, if we don't give, we won't make. You see the principle? So you guys understand it and get it. And staff, if it ever gets confusing, here's the deal. Yeah, you're writing a big check to certain groups and certain organizations, and you better keep doing it. That is, if you want to be an eagle. Anybody can take, but only the few choose to give. We are givers. If you're going to be an integrity doctor, you will give. You ever tell your kids that when you're going to Disney World? They're in the back seat and they're crying and all that kind of stuff. And you're driving to Disney World and they're crying and grabbing. Hey. You stop crying. We're going to Disney World. You will have fun. Well, you will give. And you will like it. And you know why? Because in the end, you're going to like the results. Every one of you in here, if you'll choose now, if you'll choose now to be a giver, you will never regret the decision. You'll never come back to me and say, man, I wish I hadn't given this stuff. Never had it happen once, and I've had a lot of opportunities for it to happen. It isn't going to happen. You know why? Giving works. Everybody say, giving works. Giving works, buddy. Be a giver. It'll come back. Pressed down, shaken together, running over. Therefore, it's a principle. Now, he does it. Here's something else about here's something else about Dick. The reason I like talking to him is he so inspires me to increase in areas that aren't a good one for me. And here's one of them that it was. Dick is a promoter. I mean, he is a promoter. He is a relentless, all the time promoter. Now, you know, I always thought I was okay. I was okay at being a promoter, but I got to say that even when I promote, I didn't really like it. You all know what I'm talking about? You know, I'd rather not promote. If I had my druthers, I wouldn't promote ever. How many of you, am I the Lone Ranger, or how many of you know I'm not here? Not a promoter. I don't like. Sometimes we call it sales, you know, but not much on promotion. I wouldn't say that I'm not good at it. I'd say I don't really like it, and if I don't like it, I don't love it. And you know what I found out? I found out after being with him that I needed to change my attitude. Everybody get it, wrong. That's right. Thank you, Kevin. I was wrong on this deal, and I got it from him. I learned from him that he's not only a promoter, but he enjoys it. He has fun doing it. Now, he's the kind of guy. Now, this is a celebrity. And he's the kind of guy that not only wherever I'd see him on the net, but I'd walk into, we got our haircut at the same place. And I go a little more often than he does. But anyway, I'd go in to get a haircut, and he's sitting in there. And, you know, most celebrity guys, they like to, you know, come in with glasses and a hat, sunglasses or something, you know, and come in. Nobody really know, and he keeps turned away from everybody and keeps himself, doesn't want to be bothered. How many of you know what I'm talking about? Whoa, not him. He's sitting and you know you got, let's say, 8 probably chairs, barber chairs where people are getting their haircut. He's talking and entertaining all. He's talking to all of them. And he has brochures and stuff of his gala that's coming up in May. And they'll be saying, we're going to have this, we're going to have that, oh, it's going to be awesome, baby. And he'll go into all this kind of stuff, you know. And then, and I walked in, I'm telling you, this is honest truth. So then I walk in, and he's just going to, yeah, you guys got to come to this, it's going to be, and I'm like, Keith, come over here, tell them how it is. How often do you come? I said, well, I come every year, you know. Is it something? Oh, yeah, and I'll tell. And I'll go into the stories. He's getting a stupid haircut. And me too. But the whole time he's getting a haircut, now you would just say, that's no big deal. Really? Is that what you do about chiropractic? Just asking. I pretty much have to push somebody to get them to call an office. Call an office and see if we can do a screening. Oh. Hey, Dick, call this office and tell them to stop whining. Because sometimes I think you guys, everybody hone in on this, sometimes I think we need to change our attitude about promoting something that's going to heal people. All he's trying to do is raise money to keep kids from getting cancer. Is that all that bad? Probably worth promoting. All we're trying to do is change the health of our world. Is it really all that bad to promote it? All we're trying to do is from birth to the end, we're trying to keep people from having addictions on fentanyl and all the things that they come up with and opioids, all doing this because we want them to choose natural healing first, and if it doesn't get it, then we'll allow a drug to come in. But chiropractic first. Simple, isn't it? So let's make sure we don't promote it. Let's make sure that we don't tell anybody, well, no, we're back. Well, you know, I don't want to be salesy and all that. Well, we're being sold every day, every time, every conversation. Somebody's selling something. Are you not parents? Your kids were born salespeople. Is that right or wrong? Daddy, can I blah, 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 blah? No, I don't think so. Why not? Boy, if we had the persistence of our kids, our offices would be overflowing, wouldn't they? Right or wrong? Yeah. So here's what we might ought to do. We might ought to change our attitude toward promotion. That it's a good thing. And the reason it's a good thing is because we're healers. And we're wanting to heal the land. And we can't heal the land if they aren't there. They got to be there. You know, see, I found, well, it's great that you learn how to adjust people. It's just that you probably ought to have somebody to adjust so that it becomes even greater. See, by the way, the reason we did the Give Back movement is to inspire people, motivate people to become a new patient. And so when we did that, our new patients skyrocketed in our offices. Because all we did was start giving. But it was the promotion of that. Well, hey, if this is going to go toward pediatric cancer, yeah, I'll give it a try this. And here's another thing that amazed them about it when you did it, by the way. I didn't cover this part. But when you did the Give Back movement, every doctor that they had ever been exposed to was always after your money. Doctors have all been known for being very monetary. Then here comes a doctor along who is instead wanting to give it back and give it to other people. Who does that? And they are what you were afraid of in that deal was actually the opposite, and that is people were impressed by it, inspired by it, loved the thought of. It's the right thing to do. So what happens is we have to change our attitude not only toward giving, but our attitude toward promoting. It's all right to promote good stuff, you guys. We're not promoting bombings. We're promoting healing. We're promoting healing without the use of drugs. We're promoting something that will enable people to not get hooked on drugs. We are enabling people to find out we were fearfully and wonderfully made, and God made us in an incredible way where it really does an amazing job healing itself once it is enabled to do that. So what happens basically is that even when you cut yourself, you can almost literally sit there and watch your body heal itself and stop its bleeding. Now, here's the funny thing. The body can heal more than we ever imagine or dream, as long as the nerves are able to communicate to the body, from the brain to the body, to all the organs. And the brain tells the organs what to do and when to do it and how to do it. It communicates through these nerves. If the nerve becomes impinged where that message can't get through, then the body doesn't heal itself. So a chiropractor removes the infringement so that the communication... How many of you ever had a cell phone and you can't seem to... How many of you ever dropped a call? You're talking to somebody on the phone and all of a sudden you can't hear them. How many of you ever done that? Yeah. And then you're saying, okay, I got to move to a different place. I got to get to a different place. Okay, move the car. I got to get a different room. I walked in the hallway. Shouldn't have walked in there. All right, I'm in this hallway. I got to get out of the hallway. And so here you are. So you go there. Then you call them back. Okay, I can hear you now. You had to remove the interference. Your patients walk into your office so that they can have the interference removed so that the body is enabled to heal itself. Now, the amazing thing is that, and every chiropractor in here can tell you that this is the truth, Seth. The thing that's amazing about it is a lot of times your patients will come in there for one thing and they'll get adjusted, and over that time period they get healed of a number of things because the body has now been allowed to heal itself. So you have, I read a great one, which you've had this happen all the time, but a baby that's now sleeping all night, now not colicky, blah, 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 blah. How in the world? How does that happen? Well, the body is fearfully and wonderfully made, and it is amazing as long as it's enabled to heal itself. So that doctor removes the interference. The baby can sleep. The baby can now function the way it was intended to function. And we don't want to promote it. I'm not sure I get that. That sounds pretty selfish to me. Don't tell anybody we can really solve these parents where they can sleep all night. That'd be a horrible thing. Just keep it to yourself. No, you guys, we need to get into promoting. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Promoting, man. Being a Dick Vitale in the dumb barbershop, talking to everybody with the brochures saying, you need to do this. Keith, tell them, do they need to do this? Yes, they do. They need to be there. He does it unashamedly, you guys. Not a bashful bone in his body. But it isn't because he's not that way. It's because his cause is greater than what he naturally feels like doing. So you know what the guy does? Truth. The guy every morning, that's why I said I could find him right now. He gets a spot, a breakfast spot, for instance. And he has 2 or 3 that he likes to go to, but mainly one. And he takes all of his stuff there, and he has it. And so every morning, he goes there with his newspapers and his stuff, and he sits at that table and stays there for 2 to 3 hours, talks on the phone, and talks to people as they're coming through. What a guy, huh? That's why I say this is the real deal. I said, I believe that I believe that he may be stronger at this than I am. I might ought to hang around the old boy and learn it. Here's the deal. He also shows us how you can have fun doing it. He did on TV one time. Austin Peay was in the March Madness and in the NCAA tournament. And he said, there is no way they're going to win. If they win this game, I'll stand on my head. Because he just talks. He says, I'll stand. If they win, I'll stand on my head. I'll go right in front of everybody. They won. ESPN was flooded with calls. Okay, he better stand on his head. And so he had guys coming on TV. He had them get on a desk. He got on a desk, and they lifted us up where they held his feet so that he stood on his head in front of everybody. And of course, it was hilarious, as only he could do it. It was promotion, but it was fun. Have fun and love promoting what's going to heal people and make a difference. All in favor, say aye. He also said this. By the way, Dick is 84. He said, I will challenge any youngster. And by the way, when he says youngster, he's talking about every one of you. He says, I will challenge any youngsters out there to match my enthusiasm and energy. I'll challenge anybody to match my enthusiasm and energy. Jeez. Now, I think it would be safe to say that for many of us in here, because sometimes you've had trouble even answering me when I ask you a question, I would say that probably we would get beat right now. I would also say, since he's just a hair older than us, we probably shouldn't get beat. We should probably dedicate ourselves to winning this contest. All in favor, say aye. And this is something else that's key, you guys. Always remember, I feel stronger about this than I can even communicate. We are not talking about self-promotion. Doctor, just because maybe the clinic is in your name, maybe you're the doctor, this is not self-promotion. I don't care about you. We are talking about promoting your purpose, healing the land, changing the health of our world, getting the 80% under chiropractic care so that they get chiropractic first and take drugs afterward. Rather than us spending our whole career listening to people say, well, I've tried everything else and it hasn't worked, so I thought I'd come here. I'd rather them come here first, and if it doesn't get it, then you send them somewhere else. Is everybody there? But you have to promote it. How many of you in here right now say, I'm going to get better at promoting? Let me ask you this. How many of you are going to say, I'm even going to try to love it? All right, good. So remember, we're not talking about promoting yourself. We're talking about promoting your purpose, changing the health of our world. Another thing about Vitality is a real star maker. You should realize that, for instance, when he first started with ESPN, when they would fly him in for meetings and stuff, they would have a driver come pick him up. And this driver, the first driver that he had, they'd pick him up, and Dick loved this guy. He thought he was great, and he'd talk to him, and he'd say, he says, there's just something about you. He said, you're a great one. He says, I'll tell you, you're going to be great. You're going to be a star. This is going to happen. By the way, that guy's name was George Bodenheimer. He said, you're going to make it someday. You're going to be big. So the question I have to ask you is, how big is he now? He went on to become the president of ESPN. and then later was appointed the president of ABC Sports. So he was for both of them, and here's the thing. So then when he gets promoted, he became the president of ESPN. Dick called him up, as usual. He's on the phone all the time. Dick called him up, he said, "Hey, George. He said, when I turn 65, I don't want a watch. I want a contract." He was already promoting, already getting his contract when he turned 65. Guess what? He did get a contract. That did work. But he knows how to make people stars. What would I tell you to do? You need to see your patients as stars. Treat them that way. If they're not right now, turn them into stars. Some patients are pretty cruddy, aren't they? Some patients aren't fun. Some patients gripe. Some patients moan. Some patients groan. Some patients want to be sick. Would that be true? You know, they're glad that they can hardly wait to tell you the next pain they have. See them as stars. Make them stars. You have the ability to do it. Coach Tom Izzy, Michigan State, I think many of you might know him. He said about that most people know Dick Vitale for his unmatched passion for basketball. And while that's certainly remarkable, what is truly remarkable is his passion for life and for helping other people. It's a lesson that should serve as an inspiration to us all. Should we pick up on this stuff, you guys? This is what gets us to the top of the post with the boosts that we need. Now remember this, he did not start at the top, you guys. From whatever you would say about yourself, he did not start at the top. ESPN was barely known, it wasn't known at all. He started out, he was the first basketball commentator they hired, and they would pay him $350 a game. And that was to do 40 to 50 a year. So he would make under $20,000 a year. Now, interesting about that, he stayed with them, and he would call and try. He would call Ellen, who was at ESPN, and try to get as many games as he could get. At $350, he tried to get scheduled for every game. He wanted as many as he could get. He'd do them all. Now, interestingly, in the course of him trying to build himself up in that at $350 a game, the truth is, eventually ESPN was bought out by Disney, and they had a lot more money at their disposal, which means that he then had a lot more money. And so he says, honestly, I can tell you that my favorite guy is Mickey Mouse. I love that mouse, baby. It's good for him. It comes back, doesn't it? The truth is, he would try to get as many games as he could because he loved it, even when he wasn't really being paid for it. But he loves the game. One of the things that I would tell you, I realize that the goals we've set are huge. I get that. I realize that 80% is a lot. I realize that changing the health of our world sounds next to impossible, and it is without some help. But I also get this, and I understand it, and it's important that we understand it. That we don't start that way, but it can end up that way. A bite at a time, inch by inch, anything's a cinch. We do not have to start in the lead of healthcare to be able to become the lead in healthcare. We persevere, we have persistence, and we don't let go. It's as long as it takes. And I do want to say, oh yeah, there is one other thing about this that we probably ought to get. Winning includes some losing, but it doesn't stop the Eagles. He was fired as the head coach of the Detroit Pistons. And then he tried getting a head coaching job somewhere else, and he couldn't get a job anywhere. And he was embarrassed. It was hard for me to hear him say, but he was embarrassed. He didn't want to go outside. He was humiliated. It's hard for me to picture him in any of those feelings. But he was, because everybody knows his situation, knows he's been fired and can't get back in, can't get another job. So then he had this Scotty Canal call him about possibly doing announcing for ESPN, and he turned it down. He turned it down. They called him several times. He turned it down. He kept trying to get a job somewhere else, couldn't get anybody to hire him, so he called Scotty back. That probably hurt, didn't it? He called Scotty back, and said he would give it a try. Now here's the point that I want to make to you guys. If he hadn't got fired, if he hadn't been rejected, he would have never taken the broadcasting job. Think about how different his life would be had he not become a broadcaster. So you guys, don't resent the losses. Losses happen to everybody. So here's a little line for you to get. I know you're going to ignore it, but you shouldn't. It's important. We cannot expect an undefeated record, but we can expect a championship because we did not allow the losses to stop us. Most of you know I'm a big fan, season ticket holder to the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, just in case you have woken up in a cave and don't know this, we have been having a good season, like a really good season. Like, we went 13-0. I know. And we had a big win last night. I think we're 17-3. 17-3. The Rays. We're 17-3. We lead Major League Baseball in home runs. We used to have about one a month. Here's the deal, you guys. It's really incredible. So I kidded with people when I was coming to the games here for a while, and we were 13-0. I said, yeah, I'm predicting an undefeated season. I was just kidding. Because it's impossible. Getting a championship isn't impossible. It's just impossible to do it through an entire life. So realize, losses are part of the deal. All in favor say aye. Another guy I want to talk to you about today, Ron Clark. Did any of you get to hear Ron Clark? Oh, good. A few did. Johnson's? Okay, good. Ron Clark. What a guy, man. This guy was inspiring plus. He was was a great teacher. Now, he was from North Carolina, and this guy decided that he needed to be a teacher and that he wanted to go to Harlem in New York City and teach school in Harlem. The impact that he ended up making with that decision was unbelievable. He became Disney Teacher of the Year, and it became so inspiring that they made a movie out of what he did there. And it's called the Ron Clark Story, and Matthew Perry played him. Isn't that a cool deal? Of Friends, you know Matthew Perry? He played Ron Clark. So I want you to take a look at a little bit of this. We'll take a look kind of so you can see I'm not making it up.
All students can be happy. Classrooms can be energetic. Schools can be fun.
The Ron Clark Academy is unlike any school in the world. It's a school that's full of passion, energy, color, and light. It's a school where we lift up our kids, we get them to feel good about themselves, and we get them to realize their own potential.
The first time Mr. Clark jumped on the table, I was like, whoa. I was like, okay, what's gonna happen next? Because I've never seen a teacher jump on the table. I mean, I'm not even allowed to practically jump on my bed when I get home.
May I have the envelope, please? Ron Clark.
You saw a piece on the news about this school in Harlem. You didn't even know what school it was.
Right.
And you, white boy, got in your car and drove to New York City. Like, I'm looking for Harlem in that school.
Sit down.
My behavior wasn't so good before Mr. Clark. I was really bad. When Mr. Clark came, he was the only one that believed in me. So that's when I just started reaching out and everything. And he just really reached out. He just really touched my heart, and I like that.
Mr. Clark is indeed magical in every way possible.
39 is really equal to
Ron
30.
Clark, who fell into teaching by accident, turned underachievers into high achievers in a Harlem classroom, and in the process became an award-winning teacher, author, and even the subject of a made-for-TV movie.
You see this? This means that this year is going to be different.
You can do better. It's not acceptable.
Now, Clark's used his book royalties to convert a warehouse in one of Atlanta's poorest neighborhoods into the Ron Clark Academy.
From the very first time I met him, I knew that he had something special going on.
The coolest part about our school is that not only are we affecting the lives of our students here, but we're also inviting thousands of educators from all over the country and around the world to come to our school each year, to sit in our classrooms, to interact with us, to learn about our methods and techniques here at the Academy, and then to take those ideas back with them around the world. So this school that's in a 100-year-old factory is not only affecting the lives of our students, but we are affecting the lives of hundreds of thousands of kids all over the world every year. We're showing people that education should be about passion, high expectations, and it should be about relationships.
School is the place where I actually want to be now. Before, school was like, man, I gotta go to school tomorrow. But to me, this school is like, I gotta go to school tomorrow. Yeah, I gotta go to school tomorrow. Yeah. They don't just act like they're having fun. They do have fun. They pour their whole hearts out into everything.
Is that awesome? Now, yeah, that's right. This guy, he ended up came to our spectacular, and the guy got up on the tables with us just like he did there in that classroom. And I'll tell you, it lit us up. It was really an amazing thing, and just kind of shows you what can happen when you see his level of inspiration and drive. How can you think anything but we probably need to increase ours? Probably ought to be dedicated more than this. You can see why we brought him to integrity, so we can catch his purpose, his passion, and bring to our clinics, this is what I'd like. I'd like for us to bring to our clinics what he teaches his students to be. Successful in the workplace and life. Now he calls it the Essential 55. So I thought today, maybe the final part of this thing is I'd go over just a few of those essentials that he considers out of the 55. Let's take a look. One is this one. He said, this is essential number 25. We will often have visitors come to visit our class. Kind of like what you saw on that film when other people would come in to see it. Now, a lot of times we're kind of taught to feel like they're almost an intrusion. He said, I will send two students to the front door with a sign welcoming them. And he teaches them, you will shake their hands, you'll tell them who you are, and you'll take them on a small tour before bringing her to the classroom. Is that a different concept or what? So he sends students out to welcome these visitors. And they're carrying signs, welcome Miss Jones to our class. And then they introduce themselves. And then they take them on a tour of the place. Now this is what he says about it. Ron says, it's all about making the person feel comfortable and welcoming in new surroundings. Now I got to ask you guys, when you're doing this, you should be doing what we do with all spectacular speakers just like we have today coming. What can we learn from this? What can we learn from this rule? What should we learn about that new patient who comes in, who's never been to your office before, who's never been in chiropractic before? Could we improve it? When they come in, how do we greet them? I wonder if we should send 2 people out instead of 1. I wonder if they should have a sign. Welcome to our office, huh? Shake their hand. Give them a brief tour. Give them the right place promise. As some of you have probably kind of rebelled against at times. Not really sure why. But we should probably make them feel more comfortable. How about if we take them personally to the doctor and then introduce them? I guess the question I'd ask you is this. Is it possible, start thinking now, Is it possible that this elementary school in Harlem is training better service than we give? That'd be embarrassing, wouldn't it? Step up on the right place promise. Step up on the way you call them out of the reception area and into the room. Maybe we could do it far more welcoming than we do. Is it possible we could make it better? Essential number 20. Give 110% because you want to, not because you have to. Here's what he said. And of course, man, my guilt level rose really high because I know what I did as a student. He said, when a substitute teacher is present, all class rules apply. Now, I don't know. I got to tell you guys. Anytime I saw a substitute teacher, I mean, it was just like throwing red meat to an alligator. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this is great. No, we never do any work. No, we don't do. Oh, no, we don't have to do anything. We usually just put our heads on our desks. Some of you know what I'm talking about, don't you? Well, here's what he told them. The first thing I do is talk to the kids a great deal about maintaining order when I am not there. I warn them to be on their best behavior, and if anyone is not, the consequences are going to be severe. Now, sometimes the substitute was more to blame than them, but I continue to act upset with them, and I play the old game of, you've made me so upset. And my usual statement was, I'm constantly giving everything I have for you guys. I work myself sick and continue to take you on trips, provide you with the best education possible, and this is the way you show me your appreciation, the way you treated that substitute? When you do things like this, it makes me not want to follow through with the very neat things that we do. And here's why he said he did it. I want the students to have the mindset they are working for themselves and to have pride in their work, whether a boss is standing over them or not. I want them to be the type who will give 110% because they want to and not because they have to. Now, in our world where we're reaching the 80% and it requires more than one office to do it in, because it's just too many people, it means that most of us in this room are working with the owner not present. It's kind of like a substitute teacher. And we can't be that one that was like me when I was a student, where you do whatever you want to. The truth of the matter is, we work 110%, and we do it because we want to, with the system that's been given us and taught us, and we work it to complete 100% efficiency, whether anybody is watching us or not. Staff, are you with me here? It doesn't matter if anybody's watching you. It's how you work when nobody is looking that shows your true character. So the larger we grow, the more we have to be committed to this. If the performance is not up to the standards, the system, the rules, as Ron said, the penalty will be severe. We work hard to provide everything that you need to do it. So I want the staff and the doctors to have the mindset that they are working for themselves and to have pride in your work, whether the owner is standing over you or not. Most of the employees of integrity, no, that's not true. All of the employees of integrity I don't see. So we have to do it in this kind of a way. I have to know that when they're supposed to be on the phone, they're on the phone. When they're calling, they're calling. And what they're saying, they're supposed to say. And what they're doing, they're supposed to do. Because I'm not there. I depend on that kind of character. Essential number 52. Accept that you're going to make some mistakes. And by this, I mean by mistakes, everything doesn't always go. And you can't only do the things that you've got it down before you even start. You've got it down where everything will be perfect. Do not have the goal, everybody. Do not have the goal of an errorless life. And if you can't do it, if there's a chance of failure, you just don't do it. You have to be errorless. I'm telling you, if you have to be errorless, you're never going to do squat. Mistakes are going to be made. I made a mistake in 1982, I remember, and I was shocked, but I promised I'd never let that happen again. Or am I lying? I'm lying. Happens all the time. We all make mistakes. The problem with setting a goal of no mistakes and no errors is that it allows you, it excuses you to not implement anything. I don't want to do it until everything's... And if anybody says, well, that won't work because what if this happens? Well, we can't do that because what if that happens? There's always a what if, you guys, about that stuff. You're never going to do anything if you have to answer all the what if questions before you do it. Does everybody follow me? You can't have it down to errorless before you go for it. It can't happen. There's always the possibility of losing and failure. The goal is results, getting the 80%, changing the health of our world. It's not an errorless life, because if it has to be errorless, we're not going to reach it. All in favor say aye. Essential number 53. No matter what the circumstances, always be honest. Staff, really listen to this. These are really important. Even when you've done something wrong, which, by the way, I'll see. Well, let's get started. How many of you have ever done something wrong? How many of you have ever done something in the office that you weren't supposed to do? The rest of you are liars, just helping you out. Now, even when you have done something wrong, it's best to admit it because, and by the way, this is Ron Clark speaking, because I will respect that and oftentimes forget any disciplinary actions because of your honesty. Staff, there's nothing worse than cover-ups, period. Because when you cover stuff up, it allows room for it to get bigger than it actually should be. And now we're going to be in really big trouble. Don't cover it up in an office. Having to learn about a mistake until it has grown huge is what I hate the most. So look, here's an important statement. Go ahead and write this down. It's okay. The goal is not to cover your tail or somebody else's. The goal is to protect the practice. That's what you got to do. And when you cover up, you're not protecting the practice and you're not protecting the patient. Don't cover up. Be honest. All in favor say aye. Essential number 49. Stand up for what you believe in. He said, I can't tell you the number of times I've wanted to do something, but everyone around me was skeptical and telling me I shouldn't. And one of his big times that everybody told him not to do it was when he wanted to move to New York City and teach in Harlem. Nobody thought he should do it. Would we be talking about him today, and would we have had a movie made out of him today had he not gone to Harlem and taught in that school? It was the very thing that made him. Everyone was telling him it was too risky and that I was crazy. I had a strong feeling and I was supposed to do it, and I ended up being the best decision I ever made. So this essential that we're talking about here is for us, who are many times the silent majority. I have found that the wrong people are always making the most noise and the dominating of the attention, and the right people are too often the silent ones and covered up. Now, I was raised here in Texas, and back in the day when a lady named Madeline Murray O'Hare, in the days when I was going to school here, we would say the Pledge of Allegiance, and we would have somebody over the intercom not only say it, lead us in the allegiance, and then pray for us. That was the way that's what they did in my school. Until one lady, now we're talking about 300 million people in this country, and one lady threw a fit and said it offended her. Her name was Madeline Murray O'Hare. I'm not making this up. And we lost this stuff that we used to have, all because it hurt her feelings. In other words, she had a bigger mouth than the 300 million people that didn't even agree with her. Does this kind of thing still happen today, you guys? All the time. That's right. In chiropractic, you guys, the adjustment is the purpose. And it's time that you stand up for it. Stop being covered up by people who talk bigger about their deal than about yours. I had, as an example, Last night at our event, I was talking to the students and I was asking them, well, why did you go to chiropractic college? Do you know what? In most all the cases, my thing fell off. I'm sorry. Getting too abrasive to my microphone. In my case, I was looking at them and they said, well, I was going to be a PT. I was looking at PT and doing PT, all that kind of stuff. It's like, what in the world? PT. If I was put on a scale of 1 to 10, chiropractic 10, PT would be 2. There is no greater service than being a chiropractor. It's the best thing in healthcare. It's the number one. You know why they chose PT over chiropractic at the time? That's the one they've heard of. That's the one they know about. That's the one that people bragged about. It's our fault that we don't brag about it like we should, everybody. This is the time to clap. See, you can't even do that. You guys, we are too silent. We do not stand up for what we believe in. Wellness through the adjustment. Not through all the other goofy stuff that everybody relies on because nobody talks about the adjustment. They all talk about their little goofy stuff. Ouija boards and whatever you come up with. You can't race in more than one lane or car. You have to choose what race that you're going to be in. You can't choose a bunch of them. Now, I don't mean putting down other people or services, but I mean standing up for yours. Stand up for your lane, bucko. You've got one. You've got a great lane in a great healthcare, and you need to take the lead of it. Don't be intimidated and made to feel outdated or lesser than. Heard somebody teaching in one of the colleges just this recently. Well, they're saying, this is no longer your parents' chiropractic. We're different. And naming all these goofy things like mental health, social health. It's like, what? Let me tell you something. Just to, I don't know if it takes the pressure off or it gets you in trouble, doctor, but I don't want you to be a marriage counselor. I don't want you to be a psychologist. I don't want you to be Dr. Phil. I want you to be a chiropractor. And it's an honor. It's a privilege. So, hey, no parenting counseling, okay? And by the way, just for those of you who happen to be even if you are Christians, you still can't do it. Even if you know what the Bible says about marriage, I don't care. You're not a marriage counselor, you're a chiropractor. Now shut up and do what you're supposed to do. Is it clear enough? Stand up for that. Here's the reason. We have our plate full with keeping the body well naturally. We just don't have the time, the energy, or the expertise to do everything. You say, well, it's good for the patient. You can't do everything that's good for the patient. So stop taking on everybody else's cause and everybody else's purpose and do your own. And that's all I have to say about that. Because I think I'm a little bit past my time. It didn't blink loud enough. Here's the deal. Have we got something we can do? Are you going to do it? Are we going to do this thing? We're going to make it happen. Change the health of our world. Take the lead. Not by being 10 other kind of doctors, but by being the one that we are, serving the people that we're supposed to serve, and getting them well naturally, and being honored to do it. It's a privilege. Just like I will tell you, we were just talking at the break. What do I want to be doing now? Exactly what I'm doing today. This is it. I'm honored to be here. I'm privileged to get to do this. I'm so thankful that God hired me to do something that I wasn't qualified to do and empowered me to do it anyway. I don't think he made the right decision, but I'm sure glad he did. You see what I mean? Now, he's hired you to do a job. Every one of you are healers. Now, do what you're supposed to do. You're here for a reason. It wasn't by accident. I know that I'm not here by accident, and I know you aren't either. Today, this hour. You've been brought here for a purpose. Isn't that awesome? And we are honored, and we are grateful. And therefore, you are in the right place at the right time. And me too. God bless you all very much. Let's take another 6-minute break. Oh, 6.